Welcome back to the Print on Demand cast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about influencer marketing 101. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Print on Demand cast. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We're always very thankful to know that you guys are back each and every week to listen to a brand new episode. This episode is going to be different, that's for sure. It's my first time running solo, which means that this whole thing is going to be very, very interesting.
Point of interest.
So yeah, I was going to play that bumper to break up the monotony, but that's the point of interest. I'm solo. Travis is on his way to Tulsa. I know it's not print on demand industry news necessarily, but it's just a prerequisite for the rest of this episode. I am flying by myself, no co-captain today. It's never happened before in the history of the print on demand cast, but we're going to see how it goes. Travis was telling me, like, how do you feel about doing a solo episode? And I thought he was just joking, but he wasn't. So here I am. We're going to talk about influencer marketing today, but also one thing that it happened, a little bit of a waffle session with myself, to you, the listener that is listening right now, hopefully not pressing pause and not coming back to this episode. Recording from my new space here in Loveland. We moved over the weekend, my wife and I, to our new home here. Super excited to have my own recording space. Never had really like a full room just to myself. I'm not sharing this with anybody. It's just my own space to record and do content with. So I'm very, very excited about that as well. Looking forward to hearing back from Travis. I don't know what he went to Tulsa for, to be completely honest. He probably told me and I forgot, which makes me a bad friend and co-host because I can't relay the news to you, the loyal listener. But here we are. So before we get into anything else, let's go ahead and we're just going to dive straight in this episode. I'm not going to keep you guys very long, but hopefully it will be informative and entertaining. So with that being said, let's just go straight into this week's main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event.
All right, the main event indeed. So we're going to talk about influencer marketing. What is influencer marketing? And my experience with influencer marketing is pretty, I guess, lengthy. Is that the word that I'm looking for? I've got a lot of experience in influencer marketing. So, as you know, my father-in-law and I, had What For Apparel, and I found the idea of influencer marketing through a website that I knew about because of my fandom of professional wrestling. So, and don't easy. Okay. I'm a fan of professional wrestling, and you all knew that. Don't judge. Okay.
So you get nothing.
So I knew of this website called Pro Wrestling Tees. And basically what this is it's a print shop in Chicago. 1 Hour Tees is the shop there that's on the ground, brick and mortar style. Who developed a relationship with a professional wrestler, and the professional wrestler said you should develop like a print on demand for professional wrestlers who are not tied to a major company, who are not having their merch produced for them, and be the guy that produces their merch. So that's what he did, and he gave a lot of professional wrestlers the ability to log into the website, create an account, and sell their merch. Okay, so that's where I discovered influencer marketing, or I didn't know it was called that at the time. I was looking for something that we could do that would be different, that maybe hasn't been done a lot. And so originally we wanted to kind of target musicians with this business model because my father-in-law and I are both musicians, as is Travis. And because we thought, musicians typically the last thing that they think of is merch and who's going to do the merch and what merch should they sell. So we thought if we can partner with them and come alongside of them and kind of help them in this journey, then that would make a lot of sense. So eventually we kind of opened it up to everybody, right? Because we didn't just want to narrow it down to musicians. But that was the bedrock, the foundation of our business model was influencer marketing, was going to be influencer marketing. Now, there's a couple different versions of influencer marketing, one of which we're going to focus more on for this particular episode. So when you hear influencer marketing, one version is, what my wife used to do with her Etsy store is reach out to influencers within the niche that she was producing. So in this instance, like home decor, kind of farmhouse vintage home decor, and tell or and message the influencer and ask if they would be willing to do a collaboration, for lack of a better term, which basically meant that my wife was going to send them a product that she created for free if they would talk about it on their Instagram story or channel, oftentimes accompanied with a discount code that their followers could use. That provides a tangible way for us to track or for you to track who is coming through that stream. So if someone reaches out to me in this very hypothetical example and asks me to promote their product, and they say, I tell you what, and when someone buys something that's a follower, we're going to give you a discount code. It's going to be Josiah 10 for 10% off. Well, that discount code is going to help them, or you in this instance, track who is coming to your store through my link. And so that happened. My wife had a handful of people that would do a reveal or an opening of the package on their Instagram story and talk about the quality, how great it was, and it was really really cool. So that's one way you can do influencer marketing. Okay, um, I've not done a lot of that version of it, but it is definitely a viable option. It's a thing that you can do, and it has been done for forever. Okay. The kind of influencer marketing that I want to talk about is reaching out to influencers on social media platforms and offering to do merchandise for them or to produce merchandise for them, for their brand, for their followers. Okay. This is appealing to them for a number of reasons. Again, a lot of them aren't thinking about monetizing in that way. And if they are, they really don't want to have to do all of the heavy lifting. And so, one thing you can do, at least in the beginning, because it's viable in the beginning, as you're growing this idea, is to work pretty closely in tandem with the influencer themselves, to help upload designs, to help with designs, to help kind of get it off of the ground. I want to tell you that that model doesn't stay viable very long because quickly enough as you begin to grow, if it's just you and you're just doing this operation by yourself, you are going to get super overwhelmed doing this for them. At least doing it yourself. You can get VAs to help you with this kind of process as well. So, and the other reason it's attractive to them or can be, and in our case was because it was a no cost upfront model, right? Two words, free money. It was basically um, how we pitched it. And so the whole idea was reaching out to influencers and saying, hey, I see you have a following, or I love your content, or I personally am a fan of yours. I would love to help you create merchandise around your content to sell to your followers at a no cost upfront basis and explain print on demand. Obviously, virtual inventory doesn't exist until your customer buys it. And then we print it, we ship it on your behalf, kind of pitching the whole thing. And so it was very, very attractive to a lot of folks. And I'm going to get into kind of like the um the precautions or things to kind of keep in mind as you're doing this. Okay. So you might be thinking, okay, so this all sounds great. And I would love to do it using, the platform that I have as far as production, whether it's a production partner, whether it's a printify or Printful or merch on demand. But where do I go? How do I find these influencers? Right. So obviously you want to start with a social media platform of some sort. I personally I would say not Facebook. Facebook isn't really that platform for influencers. It's not like the place to be. I think Um, perceptually rather, Facebook has been inundated with boomers and the older generation, which is why people have fled from that platform. When I say people, I mean like the younger, millennials, Gen Z, Gen X, Gen A, Alpha. I don't know. Listen, okay, can we name generations after anything but letters? Because we're back at Alpha now. But I feel sorry for Beta. Anyway, so start with a social media platform. I had a lot of luck in two particular places. Um, Twitter, which is now X. Okay. I guess when you say they're X users, doesn't really sound quite as good as Twitter users. X users could be bad.
Killing me, Smalls.
So okay, so Twitter or TikTok, and you find the influencers there, and really, if they have a contact in their bio, if they have an email, I say go with email. I was usually always my first go to because a lot of times these DMs have some kind of restriction on them. For example, you can't DM them unless they follow you back, or you can only send 2 DMs and then you don't get to DM them anymore. And so there can be a little bit more red tape when DMing somebody if their DMs are even open. A lot don't have open DMs, and I don't blame them because people are crazy. And so they just shut off their DM functionality altogether. But if they have an email in there, I would encourage you to just shoot them an email. If they don't have the DMs open and they don't have an email, I would just leave comments. Personally, that's what I would do on a post. Hey, this is great, or hey, I love the content, or hey, my name is so and so. I want to sell your merch. I want to make shirts for you. Okay, just leave something in there. If that's kind of like last ditch effort to get them to chat with you. So, Twitter and TikTok were the two places I had the best luck doing that. Um, Instagram is doable. My wife had a ton of success on Instagram, um, soliciting folks with followings for us to do merch. She's actually found one of our largest clients by way of an Instagram DM. And so it's the client that I've talked about many times on the show. And so that we got to him through Instagram initially. And so I would just pick a platform and just tap that vein, see what works. One platform could work for a while, and then you can get dry, go to another platform and see what you can do there. YouTube is another place. If they have a contact, YouTube doesn't have DMs as far as I know, but if they have an email or a contact on their YouTube page, on their bio page, check it out. Dive in. You know what I mean? And the other thing is too, kind of you can follow the rabbit hole of platforms, which is to say, if someone has a YouTube channel that you're a fan of, but they don't have an email, click on their Twitter, see if their DMs are open. Click on their Instagram, see if their DMs are open. Okay. Click on their TikTok and message them. But that is a way that I would usually do it. The biggest success rate, though, going back to my original point, is email. I had the best luck actually facilitating meaningful conversations with email, because a lot of these influencers will have partnership or collaborations, and then they'll have an email. And you might be dealing with the talent rep at that point. You might be dealing with them directly. I've had both scenarios where I've worked with agencies and then I've worked with the actual influencer themselves to see, about striking some kind of agreement. And so after that, I mean, even before that, you want to really perfect your pitch. Okay. You don't want it to be lengthy, because the odds of them reading a super lengthy DM, super slim. The odds of them reading a lengthy email, super slim. You have to figure out a way to capture their attention within a couple sentences, even in the email subject line, because you have to understand that if you put yourself in their shoes, they receive a lot of these emails. Folks that I would talk to got pitched all the time by folks, talent reps, people who want to produce merch. It's not something that they're not getting. They're getting a lot of inquiries, right? So you have to really distinguish yourself. And to be candid and transparent, only because I'm not doing it anymore, the pitch of free money is a heck of a deal. When you say it's no cost up front, um, that got a lot of people's attention. And then you have to explain how and why that works. So typically, I would do like a sizzle before steak. Okay, I would give them a sizzle, tease them, entice them. What free money? I get to sell shirts. I'm going to reply. And then the second step I would try to get them on a call. Okay. If I could get them on a call, my close rate was significantly higher than if I was just exchanging an email. Why? Because it's hard to tell a lot through just text, and I think we all know that, right? We all know that when it comes to relationships, friendships, texting people, I still can misconstrue the tone that someone is coming at me with, because I'm so used to communicating that way. And if it's if I doesn't have an LOL or something stupid, to denote that they're in a good mood, it's like, oh man, are they in a bad mood? Did I make them mad? But that's just silly human faulty thinking. If I can get them on the phone though, I can relay so much more, so much quicker than an email chain of 5 days, 6 days on, going back and forth and blah blah. I do whatever you can to get them on a call as quickly as you can, because that gives them the assurance that you're the real deal. Okay? That you're the expert in this field. They can throw questions at you and you can answer them. You can give them answers. You can give them instances. Even if you're new to this, okay? Even if you're new to influencer marketing as a whole, and maybe you don't have a whole lot of experience, you can still relay what you know about print on demand, what you know about how the business model will work, what you know about the quality of the product, because they're going to ask. They're going to ask if it's going to be plastic ink. Is it going to feel plasticky? Because they have a misconception, or the shirts are going to feel like crap. I've done this before. The shirts feel like crap. You can assure them, you can send, and you can, set up free samples to be sent to them, whatever that looks like. Get them on the phone. Don't be okay with just landing clients strictly through email. Okay. I would always, in my first pitch, say, I'd love to hop on a call. They'd respond. And then I would respond back and say, I'd still love to hop on a call. Okay. So I'm always pitching the opportunity to hop on a call. I would even go so far, if I were, if I was to redo this, if I was to get back in the business, in the industry on a day-to-day basis, I would have a Calendly link of just, hey, let's set up a call. Look, give me 15 minutes of your time, give you a rundown. Set up a presentation on Google Slides and show them. You know what I mean? The more you can do to reassure them that you're legitimate, that you're the expert in your field, the better it's going to be for you. And the easiest way to do that is to get them on the phone. You can relay so much more. Intent is read so much better when you're on the phone. I made a lot of connections with people that I don't even do their merch anymore, obviously, but I'm still friends with them because we had a great initial phone call. I still text them. I'm still, commenting on their stuff, congratulating them on success, because we had a great first phone call. One guy, who is a TikTok influencer, still calls me his brother from another mother, or his long lost brother, whenever I reach out to him and just say, hey, what's up? Thinking about you. Hope things are well. So get him on the phone. It can do a lot for you. And it can, if you hate calling people on the phone, you're going to have to do something to force yourself to do it. I can relate. I don't necessarily enjoy calling people all the time, especially cold calls. Those suck. Okay. Cold calls are God's punishment for not getting referrals. So basically my emails or my DMs were my cold call. You know what I mean? Um, by necessity, I didn't have their phone number, but that was kind of my foot in the door. And that kind of eased that, like, oh God, I got to call these people. They never heard from me before. So I would do that. So the next question would be, or the next thing to kind of cover, I guess, for you to know, we've talked about what to say to them, how to pitch them, kind of getting that sizzle, that enticement, talked about making sure get them on the phone, okay, to schedule a call with them. We've talked about the platforms in which you can find these people, these influencers. There's three major ones again: Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And guys, again, this is just really kind of 30,000 foot view. I know we've talked a lot about coaching on the show and offering that kind of stuff. I would be more than happy to help if you guys really want to kind of nail down this whole thing, to convey some experience and give you some tips and pointers and do some like influencer marketing coaching or a course or something. We've talked about that, and because I would love to get into the nitty gritty of it, and talk the details.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
So okay, so we talked about the platforms, but here's something else that you need to keep in mind. Okay, who should you DM? I can tell you with all certainty, influencers are not created equal. Some of these guys and gals, you will find, have intentionally structured their content to be where they are. Okay. They came at this like a business. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew where they were wanting to go, and they put intent behind that. Okay. There's another group that accidentally got 15,000 followers overnight because of one video. Okay. It's a good mix of both of those that you're going to find. I've talked about this on the show before, but size doesn't matter when it comes to the following of the influencer. Bigger following numbers isn't necessarily a surefire ticket. Okay. What you want to do is figure out what kind of engagement they have with the people who follow them. Are they responding to the comments? Are they liking people's comments on TikTok? Are they replying to the comments with a video and having a conversation with the follower, right? Or responding in video format to a question that a follower has? Are they doing that? That's important. It's very important. Because if the more engaged they are, the more buy-in they have with their following, and the more apt and more prone the following is to purchase the thing that the person is going to be promoting that you are producing. If there's no relational equity, their following is less likely to want to support them because they've not been brought behind the curtain. Influencers who interact, influencers who are transparent, influencers who are being vulnerable with their following to whatever extent that means for that particular person. Those influencers who are having that level of interaction are going to be the ones that are going to yield the best fruit. And followings do not matter as far as the number. The same person that calls me, or the long lost brother, when I solicited him, when I sent him a message, he had maybe 100,000 followers, maybe. Now that's a lot, okay? But comparatively and contextually speaking, it's not as much. It's not very big compared to what's out there on those platforms. Okay, the 500,000, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever million followers. But his content was fantastic, and his engagement was through the roof. Because I would go into the comments and might be kind of stalkery, to just read comments and check replies. That's what I did. And saw that this dude is genuinely interacting with his following. And so pitched him, and he sold $2,000 worth of merch. And that's what he took home from a weekend when he launched. $2,000. Okay. Because his followers loved him, and he kept coming out with new content and coming out with new shirt ideas. Okay. Which is great. Great. Engagement is huge. I would say, again, matters more then the following count. The one thing also that I will say as far as what makes a good influencer is, and this is kind of a caution, I guess, um, not to deter you from doing obviously if we thought you shouldn't do influence marketing, I wouldn't be talking into a microphone to nobody or to you guys, but in the moment I'm just talking to myself for the last 25 minutes. If we thought it was a bad idea, we wouldn't do an episode on it. But there are some cautions. Not every just because it's called influencer marketing, just because they're influencers, does not mean that they themselves are good marketers. Okay. Influencer marketing, as the term, is obviously because the influencer is doing the marketing of their particular good or their particular t-shirt to their followers. But sometimes after that initial launch is where that ends, because they're not marketers. Okay. And they're going to want you to become their marketing. Okay. Wow. I can't even really talk at the moment.
I suffered the pressure.
They're going to want you to become their marketing department. And you need to be careful of that because that's not what you do. It can be if they're willing to pay you for it, which is the boat that I found myself in quite often with a lot of influencers, because they're not marketers. They're just people who have an audience captive. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are marketing gurus or even really know how to market effectively. They're going to want to throw 30 shirts up at one time. They're going to want to throw 20 mug designs, and you're going to have to do some counseling as far as like, maybe just start with 2, maybe just start with 5, and kind of coach them through that. However, at a certain point you will have to draw a line, because you're not a marketing firm, and unless they want to pay you to be that, then that's different. Okay. The one thing that I think is the downside to the no cost upfront model is that the influencer themselves has zero skin in the game. Okay. If I were to do this again, I would offer a setup fee or some kind of fee, maybe not super expensive, but you want them to have skin in the game. Okay. The free money pitch is great. Just already talked about it. It's very enticing. It initiates conversation immediately. But there is a con to that. And that's what I would say after being in, influencer marketing and doing it for the 4 years or so that we did it. I would say that was probably the one thing that was wrong. As we could have asked for more skin and more commitment. Even if, maybe you still want to do the money up front thing, but you want to do contracts, 6-month commitments, whatever that looks like for you. Just to make them feel like there's some level of commitment on their part. Okay. So that they are motivated to make it work as well, because they'll work you to the bone if you let them. Excuse me. So yeah, I would just say that's one thing to be aware of. Okay. Is that not all influencers are marketers, and sometimes it's good to have them put some skin in the game, right? So, all right. So, how do they make money? Okay, how's that going to work? And this, I mean, this is kind of whatever you feel would work best for your particular scenario. For us, because we were doing production in house, we had wholesale prices assigned to everything in our catalog. And then the influencer could sell something for as much as they wanted, and they would get the difference between retail and wholesale. So for example, let's say that a t-shirt was $10. Well, for a full front print, right? Full color front print, $10. If the influencer sold that for $20, they'd get 10, we'd get 10. If they sold it for 15, if they sold it for 25, they'd get 15, we'd get 10. So our number never changed. Theirs could go as high or as low as they were comfortable with. And I would say as well, make sure you're specific and forthright and transparent about what that price includes. So, for in the same of this say for the sake of the same example, if that $10 shirt was just front print only, full color, and they added a sleeve and a back, and I didn't tell them that additional print areas were $3 a piece, and then they got the invoice and realized that they actually got charged $16 for a shirt they sold for 20, they're only making 4 instead of 10. It's gonna be some problems. They're gonna be upset, rightfully so. You gotta let them know what is included in that price. Okay. However, if you're not doing production in-house, um, I've seen some models where they do a percentage of like monthly sales. Because when you're working with especially like merch on demand, we tried doing some of this influencer stuff on merch on demand, and honestly, with the amount of money that Amazon takes per sale, the leftover wasn't like, hey, we'll split it. You get $3, we get $2. They might be open for that, maybe. But you could also do a percentage of like monthly sales, monthly gross, whatever that looks like. Whatever you want to figure out, you can do percentages. That way, which a lot of folks have done in the past, and that kind of helps just be a little more enticing with what is left over, depending on the platform you're using. Again, I can't really speak to Printify's prices or Printly prices or Printful prices because we did our own production in house. But that is two of the ways that you can do it, either, wholesale versus retail, or kind of doing a percentage of the total sales, as well, to for the way that they get paid. And obviously you get paid by them bringing the customers in as well. And make sure that don't be afraid to start, or I guess don't be afraid to know your value. I mean, you're going to want at the beginning to maybe do some, um, loss leader type stuff with clients just to kind of get your foot in the door, or get recommendations or kind of establish a system. But it, again, if all they're doing is a commitment of 6 months or whatever, don't be afraid to know your value and charge what you feel you need to charge, as well. So, it's as a whole, it's a business model that works really well. Again, there's some cautions, there's some cons to this particular business model, some of which I outlined a little bit. Travis also touched on one last week about getting the margins. I wouldn't necessarily. I would still be selling your own stuff as well, um, and getting higher margins on your own products, but also, um, dabbling in influencer marketing as well until you figure out a good system to where maybe if that's what you want your whole business model to be, you can. When we did What For Apparel, we sold our own stuff on Amazon, on Etsy, on Wayfair, on all of these different platforms. We weren't exclusively influencer marketing. It was a a stream of our business income, but it wasn't all of it. I can say that after 3 years, we grew that book of business to a point where it was, should Amazon have been taken away, that it wouldn't have been as detrimental as it would have been beforehand, before we kind of diversified in that way as well. So, and I think one of the craziest stories that I have, is back when I was working with influencers, there was a guy whose content was strictly about flat Earth, and I had to ask him because, I mean, if you're listening and you're a flat earther, uh, we love you. I just don't agree with you. And so I didn't agree with this guy. And so I had to ask questions. I said, like, what do you mean? And so we kind of got into a debate. Okay. And he ended up saying, like, listen, I will walk to the edge of the earth to prove you wrong. And he kind of left the conversation, So, I mean, I'm sure he'll come around eventually. And that is this week's dad joke of the week. Yeah, awesome. Hey guys, I mean, that's kind of, again, an overview, influencer marketing 101, where to start, where to find them, what to look out for, how to pitch them. I hope you guys found this information informative, educational, entertaining. It was very much I had some notes, a lot of stream of consciousness. I'm not really too sure what I said, but I hope that it was.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
So, if you guys have questions, I'd love to chat with you and kind of delve a little deeper into this topic. If you have suggestions, if you have ideas, if you have stories of ways that you've made this work, especially the paying part of it, percentages or wholesale versus retail, join the Facebook group. printondemandcast.com/Facebook is where you can go to join the community, join the conversation, join the family, answer the questions. You won't be let in, but if you answer the questions, you're open sesame. And you can chat with us there. Also, printondemandcast.com/Instagram and /YouTube is where you can go to find more of the content. And hey, printondemandcast.com/shop. Pick up a shirt. Definitely helps support the show. Again, Travis and I do this as a passion project. We love doing this. It's fun for us. And so if you want to support it, if you want to keep the show going, if you want to help us invest into the future of Print on Demand Cast, we would certainly love that as well. And again, as I said at the top of the show, wherever you are listening to this, please leave us a review, share the show, text it, Facebook, share it, Twitter, share it, exit. And that's a new thing. Hey man, you just need to exit. That's awesome. Yeah. So share the show where you can share the show, leave us a review and a star rating. It helps the algorithms as well. Sign up for the newsletter, printondemandcast.com. You get all kind. My God, I can't. This is what happens when I talk for too long.
I suffered the pressure.
That soundbite twice.
That's terrible.
It is terrible. So sign up for the newsletter, printondemandcast.com. You get a lot of different tidbits and information as well. There was a bonus dad joke, which is the real reason that a lot of people, I'm sure, subscribe. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, I'm Josiah. Travis will be back next week, we hope. I don't see why he wouldn't be, but fingers crossed, next week we'll both be back, and so you guys don't have to listen to me ramble. We'll get back to the good content with both of us. But until then, we'll see you next time. And I guess it's my job to say, see ya.
Hey, babe, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.